Good morning and welcome to the 2021 Lower Secord Program of Remembrance. Please make sure to turn off all personal electronic devices. Remember, this is a commemorative, not a celebratory occasion where respect and dignity is needed. Therefore, please be sure your cell phone is silenced and away. And for those who are able, please rise and listen to the concert choir led by Ms. Sacco perform our national anthem, O Canada. Cassie Clark will do the ancestral land acknowledgement and a statement about the purpose of Remembrance Day.
We begin this gathering by acknowledging the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples, many of whom continue to live and work here today. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties and is within the land protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Today, this gathering place is home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples, and acknowledging reminds us that our great standard of living is directly related to the resources and friendships of the Indigenous people.
Remembrance Day is a day that invites Canadians to gather together in a collective act of listening, acknowledgement, reflection, mourning, and healing. It is a day to honor those whose sacrifices and whose lives during and after war enable many of the rights and freedoms we hold today. It is also a day to reflect on the immeasurable costs of war, both on the battlefield and off, as we recommit to the hard work of peace, justice, and equity.
Today, we will experience a solemn memorial service of remembrance in honor of the citizens of Canada who lost their lives doing their duty for their country. Please remain quiet and attentive as we recognize the sacrifices made by our forebears in the pursuit of peace. Much appreciation to Ms. Sacco, Mr. Alexander, Mr. Nickel, and the choir members for the all-important musical component of this program. Also, thank you to the students who are reading today. We can only hope that we'll all be back together in the odd to hear the sound in person next year. There are many good reasons why we go through the ritual of having Remembrance Day services each year on November the 11th. We do not do it to glorify or to in any way sanction war and armed conflict. We most certainly do honor the bravery and courage of our veterans who put their lives on the line when times were desperate. We also recognize and thank active military personnel who work to protect us today. We do this because we are striving to achieve peace through remembrance. We must not forget the horror, the terror, the agony, the loss, the destruction, and the lasting heartache and the sheer inhumanity of war to compel us to prevent it from happening again. The idea here is to maintain or achieve peace through remembrance. By learning and understanding the harsh truth of war and never forgetting it is the best way to not repeat the mistakes of the past. Peace through remembrance. These are three words when put together explain why we must do this, why we must remember that evil is possible and constantly remind ourselves we need to actively take responsibility to work for peace. Love will conquer hate when we work hard to make it happen, but we cannot take it for granted. Hannah Jamal and Bella Racine will recite parts of For the Fallen, a World War I poem written by Lawrence Binion. The last stanza is known as the Act of Remembrance.
With proud thanksgiving, a mother for her children, Canada mourns for her dead across the sea. Flesh of her flesh they were, spirit of her spirit, fallen in the cause of the free. They went with songs to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foe.
Age shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At going down in the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them.
Next, we will have the chamber choir, directed by Miss Sacco, sing No Time by Susan Broomfield. The soloists are Isla Jamal and Amber Colchu.
Oh, morning.
Thank you. Now, Sydney Bongard and Ellie Warren will provide a history of the poppy on the 100th anniversary of its inception as our primary symbol of remembrance. After that, we will proceed directly into Colin Davis, Emily Singer, and Catherine Dubois reading In Flanders Fields.
For almost 100 years, the poppy has been a symbol of honor and ultimate sacrifice, inspired by Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae's poem In Flanders Fields, written in May 1915. The poem caught on quickly with soldiers. One Canadian soldier wrote, "The soldiers have learned it with their hearts, which is quite different from committing it to memory. It circulates, as a song should circulate, by the living word of mouth, not printed by characters." When the war was over and the soldiers returned home, they continued to think of their friends who were buried below the poppies in Flanders. In Canada, the poppy has stood as a visual symbol of our remembrance since 1921. However, its presence over the graves of soldiers and in the fields of honors was noted as early as the 19th century. The reason for its adoption over 100 years later in Canada was due to, in no small part, Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae and his now famous poem, In Flanders Fields. This poem, written in May 1915 on the day following the death of his best friend, would serve as inspiration 3 years later for an American teacher, Moyna Michael, who made a personal pledge after reading the poem to always wear a poppy as a sign of remembrance. In 1920, during a visit to the United States, a French woman, Madame Guérin, learned of the custom and decided to sell handmade poppies to raise money for children in war-torn areas of the country. Following her example, the poppy was officially adopted by the Great Wars Veterans Association as the predecessor of the Royal Canadian Legion as its flower of remembrance in 1921. It is a privilege and honor to wear a poppy.
In Flanders Fields, the poppies blow. Between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks still bravely singing fly, scares heard amidst the guns below.
We are the dead, short days ago. We lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow. Loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields.
Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw. The torch be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields.
Mr. Alexander's grade 10 to 12 band class and chamber choir will perform The Maple Leaf Forever, an historically important patriotic anthem for Anglo-Canadians.
out, they numbered a dozen. Upon my return, we're 100 or so, from the coast and from the prairies. I bet they keep coming. Add one more name from Ontario and carry me home down the highway of heroes, people above with the flags flying low. Carry me softly down the highway of heroes, true patriot love, there was never more. I served with distinction, no visions of glory. I served without question of personal gain. Seek no justification, it's not part of my story, and it offers no comfort to the ones who remain. Just carry me home down the highway of heroes, people above, the flags flying low. Carry me softly down the highway of heroes, true patriot love, there was never more. Took up my vocation, I was called by my nation without hesitation. My answer I gave. Now I'm not wondering the things that I might have been, are no consolation to the forgotten brave. So carry me home down the highway of heroes, people above with the flags flying low. Carry me softly down the highway of heroes, true patriot love, there was never more. Carry me home down the highway of heroes, people I love with their hands on low, and carry me softly down the highway of heroes, true patriot love, there was never more. 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 There was never more.
Samantha Chakosky and Jack Jones will share some details with us about a particularly emotional annual tradition of remembrance, the recognition of our Silver Cross Mother.
The Memorial Cross, more commonly referred to as the Silver Cross, was introduced on December 1st, 1919. It is a symbol of personal loss and sacrifice on behalf of widows and mothers who lose a child on active duty or whose death is later attributed to such duty. When the National Silver Cross Mother places a wreath on November 11th, she will do so on behalf of all Canadian mothers who have lost a son or daughter in action or over the course of normal duty.
This year's recipient of the Silver Cross Mother is Mrs. Josie Simard. Mrs. Simard's daughter, Corporal Karine Blais, was a trooper in the Canadian Army, described as an energetic person, passionate about the Canadian Armed Forces. She was born on January 4th, 1988 in Cowansville, Quebec. Karine died on April 13th, 2009, when the armored vehicle she was traveling in struck a roadside bomb near Kandahar, Afghanistan.
Next, the concert choir, directed by Miss Sacco, will sing Bright Morning Stars by Jay Althouse. If you are wearing a hat, please remove it and stand if you are able for the playing of the last post, a moment of silence, and reveille, or as our American friends call it, rouse. Thank you for sharing our Remembrance Day commemoration, and have a nice lunch.